Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the GiantBear Podcast. I go by the name of John Brown.
This is Eli.
And we're here to discuss different sports topics and see who gives a fuck about what. So that's what this is about. What you have is unadulterated sports opinions from two people who have a pretty extensive sports background as far as watching. So let's not get fucked up. I never been really good at anything but basketball, and that was only on a very intermediate level. So this is basically based off strictly opinions, mainly bias. As you can see, the jerseys in the background are skillfully placed for a reason. We have one devoted Chicago Bears fan who has it inked on his skin, and you also have a New York Giants fan from Compton, and that's where I'm leaving. The rest of it ain't none of your goddamn business. I don't have to explain anything to anybody. If you know me, you know that that's my team, and that's who I ride with. So
there will also be a lot of drinking.
Yes, we won't. We can tell you what we're drinking, but we're not gonna show you because we're still not really sure how all that shit works out. So
it's a well-known tequila.
Right. So I'll take a shot every now and then, but I don't want to get on here and be too fucked up. So we'll just keep it for now. We'll ease into this thing. We do have a production manager that doesn't want to be on camera now, but she will eventually be on camera.
She will be.
You'll hear a lot from her. She's running the show behind the scenes. So we're gonna go ahead and get into some predictions first. First and foremost, since the game is currently running while we're sitting here talking about it, we'll go ahead and predict the Cowboys-Seahawks game. It is currently 0-3. Me personally, I'm predicting the Cowboys win based on their offensive performance. I feel like the defense will show up. Top 10 rushing defense, top 10 passing defense, including a Pro Bowler in Byron Jones. So I'm riding with the Cowboys as a Giants fan and to be the contrarian. So Eli, where you going?
I really don't see the Cowboys winning this. I think their story has been a fun one for the season. Again, defense is there, but you also got to look at it. Right now, out of all the playoff teams, their offense ranks last.
Right.
Out of all of them. So again, you're talking about two teams that are almost identical. You have Seattle, who's the number one rushing attack. You have Dallas with the number one running back. It comes down to quarterback play, and I think Russell Wilson, even right now, as I'm seeing they're losing. Russell Wilson. It comes down to quarterback.
That is the biggest difference in the two teams is the quarterbacks. Like I don't trust Dak Prescott at all. Like I'm an advocate for Zeke Elliott because he's proven it. But as far as a quarterback who can get it done when it counts, I know the last game was spectacular, a touchdown at the end. But again, he was playing against the New York Giants, and so I feel like people got very excited from that win. He's awesome. That was a great catch. But again, he was playing the New York Giants, and so. Let's keep that in mind. Defensive backs these days are a lot better than ours are. So we basically gave away a game-winning drive, which we gave away the last 3 games prior to the end of the season. So, but I'm a pull for the Cowboys because I feel like if the offense shows up, they have a more dynamic offense than the Seahawks. So that's my pick.
See, that's the key. The offense has to show up. Mm-hmm. So what final score are you going with?
14-17. I think Seahawks will win by a touchdown.
I think it's going to come down to that field goal. You said 14-17, but by a touchdown?
I mean by field goal, I'm sorry. I'm already drunk. See that one shot fucking all the way up. By a field goal, I'm sorry.
I'm saying a 3-point game. Seattle takes it, does the upset at away game, 21-18.
21-18.
I think Russell Wilson is just too clutch.
Yeah.
He's been here
hard
before.
To bet against. Hard to bet against. I had him on a fantasy team once, but he was fucking trash. So
I mean, every now and again it just happens.
All right. What's the next game?
We got to talk about the game, obviously, that we missed. Okay. But I definitely want to get some reactions because that game was hilarious. Watching that, I don't know what's wrong with the Houston Texans. I didn't know what happened there. They seem pretty promising. Yeah, the Clemson
inconsistent running back play for one. So Lamar Miller is very well. Did he even play?
He played. He was out there.
Exactly.
He was.
So inconsistent running back play. That is my issue with them. Since Arian Foster, it has been very inconsistent, which has been their Achilles heel, and not having consistent quarterback play up until recently. Deshaun Foster does a lot. What was it? 29 of 49 with 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. As opposed to Andrew Luck, 2 touchdowns, 222 yards, 1 interception. So quarterback play, it doesn't look like the leading receiver was Kiki Kuti. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Who cares? That name is
Anyway,
terrible.
11 receptions,
That's a
110
terrible
yards.
name.
Yeah, my man got to do better. That nigga needs a nickname. He needs a nickname.
His name is Cootie. Like, what is this?
Cool. Okay, I'm right with that. I'm right with that. But it looks like the running theme of this game was defense. It looks like the Colts maintained the same control of the game from start to finish. The last touchdown was scored by the damn Texans in the fourth quarter. So
It was garbage time at that point.
so it was pretty much a shutout. Pass the controller. Next one sticks. That's what we call a Peter roll.
And I watched this game and I saw Deshaun Watson. The things that just interest me is this man just wants to make the big play every time.
Every single time.
There's no looking for check downs. There's no looking to drive the ball. It's, hey, I need the 50-yard bomb.
His coach called him the Michael Jordan of football. So that man feels he believes he can fly every time he gets
What fucking games are we watching here?
He called him the Michael Jordan of football, and not to doubt him. Okay, so
1.5 seasons.
Yeah. So leading rusher of the game was Mack, 24 carries, 148 yards, and a touchdown. So it looks like it was defense and the running game, which it appeared the last 3 or 4 games of the year. That's how the Colts were going to win their games anyway. So
I had a slight problem with Marlon Mack, and it's not anything to do with football. It's more because of NFL, ESPN. We're going to start this.
Here we go.
We're going to start it early. Again, we'll get into the other games later, but I have a problem with them trying to play the song "Return to the Mac" by Mark Robinson.
Was it Mark Morrison?
Mark Morrison, thank you.
There we go.
Shit,
Mark Morrison.
Ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. This is how it starts, and this is how it's going to end.
Yeah.
But playing Return of the Mac for anybody that would not the first name Khalil.
He doesn't own the song. It's not his.
Who the fuck is Marlon Mack?
Bro, if your last name is Mack and you're kicking ass, you can have that fucking song. It doesn't belong to fucking Khalil Mack. I never even seen Khalil Mack. That's a Chicago thing. Do they play that at the stadium for him?
Yes.
Exactly. So he doesn't own the fucking song. That's a
played it
soul.
when we signed him.
Is it a soul? What is it? Soldier Field?
Yes, Soldier Field.
Okay.
Don't hate on the field.
No, I'm not. I don't have anything to say about that. That's a dope ass name for a field. So I have nothing to say about that. Like, that's a dope ass name for a field. No, I'm not gonna play that game. I'm not gonna get on camera and start fretting about shit that I've liked in the history of my life. I've always been an advocate for the Bears. I love the colors, but not so much the team. I'm not really, their history doesn't mean anything to me. Mike Ditka and what is it?
The coach. What do you mean? It's the coach.
Okay, so we spend too much time on some irrelevant ass shit. So that's not his song. Mac, you can dance to it or whatever you do in the locker room, and nobody's gonna judge you. And Khalil Mack is still gonna go hard tomorrow, so that's not gonna change anything. So what other game do we have?
Next game, you got the Chargers visiting Baltimore with good old Lamar Jackson over here running like Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Or poor man's Michael Vick. We'll say that.
So before a prediction, I'm just gonna say it. Depending on how this game goes, somebody's gonna figure that shit out, and they're gonna start abusing this young man. And this fucking running around, like we've seen this shit a million times. Somebody's going to hurt that young man, and they're gonna have to go back to Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco's gonna kick ass. That's my opinion on him. But if that doesn't happen this game, I think the Ravens' defense is kind of overpowering. I think that's their strong suit. Their secondary is awesome. I love Eric Weddle. So I'm a ride with the Ravens on this one. I think it'll be a low-scoring affair. I don't think the Chargers will blow it up on the Ravens that much. If it comes down to a pound-for-pound game, though, and it's a run game against run game, I think the Ravens will take it. But I'm not going to throw out the score yet until I hear your opinion.
I mean, I like what the Ravens' defense is doing. I mean, they've been shutting people down, shutting down the run game. And I mean, obviously, Lamar Jackson, if he doesn't break his leg by the time his career is over, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
There's only been one successful one, and that's Michael Vick.
And he couldn't even finish a whole season.
Right.
So I mean, what are we really saying about this?
Right.
But I think Phillip Rivers feels like this is his year. He has a balanced defense. He has a balanced offense. I mean, they're 12-4. The only reason they're in the wild card is because Kermit the Frog, Patrick Mahomes, is just having an ungodly season, and I just doesn't even make sense. But I think
for the LA teams.
I think LA goes into Baltimore. They take care of business. I don't see any other thing. I think Phillip Rivers, he believes in this. I don't know. The defense is good on Baltimore, but
Is it cold in Baltimore right now?
it's pretty chilly. I'm pretty
There
sure.
we go.
That's
what I'm
not
leaning
where we're
towards.
gonna go with that.
That's what I'm
That's
going
not
with.
how we.
That's what I'm
Cold is
I'm
not
not playing football in
everything.
the cold.
Well, that's why you're not in the NFL.
Exactly.
That's exactly why this
because they don't
work.
have any weather constraints. Okay, if it rains too hard in baseball, what do? They shut the fucking game down. If it rains too hard in soccer, they shut the fucking game down. If it rains too hard in tennis, they shut the game down. In football, you know what they do? You keep fucking playing and embarrassing yourself until your team is shit, and every game in the NFL matters. So you got 16 games. A game can get snowed, rain. It can be a fucking mud bowl, and they don't stop playing. And they pay them shit. They pay them nothing. It's a different tangent. I'm sorry, but I'm not playing football in the cold, and it's an LA team in cold weather. I don't trust them.
I'm waiting for the problem.
So I'm going Baltimore. I'm gonna say Baltimore. What the last? It's been 6 years since they hosted a playoff game. Goddamn.
You see, how better do you feel about your pick?
I'm going to go Baltimore 21-14. I'm sticking with the 14 theme here because I want to see.
You think Baltimore can put up that many points? Okay.
21, yeah. I believe it. I believe they can stop them enough and their defense scores points. Kind of like how I feel about the Bears. I feel like if the Bears, and I don't want to get too much into that, but if their offense doesn't do it, I feel like the Bears defense can score points to win games, and that's kind of how I feel about the Ravens. So
I think you have a rookie quarterback who has played a total of 5 games all season, 5 or 6 games all season.
Let's
now
take.
He's coming into the playoffs.
Let's take.
But they already played them. They played them once. Baltimore and Chargers. We've already seen this unfold.
Right.
So now we're talking about the rematch, and I think Lamar Jackson does not get it done. We saw Deshaun Watson go out there in his first game in the playoffs and absolutely get obliterated.
Yeah.
I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be doing anything here. So no, my final, I'm going to put it 24-10. Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be a blowout.
That's realistic. I'm there with you on that.
It's going to be a blowout.
22-10. Last game, Phillip Rivers, 181 yards. Melvin Gordon had 41 yards. All right, yeah, I'm sticking with my pick. I'm sticking with it. They lost 22-10 though, so that it speaks to what I'm saying. It's just they scored less points, but they didn't just blow them out of the water. So they scored less the last time they played. I can see that happening, but so I'm with that. I'm cool with my prediction. Now to those Bears.
The true game of the week.
Oh my God, that's
the
a
true
waste of
game
time.
of the week.
Yeah.
Waste of time.
The 9-7 Eagles against the 12-4 Chicago Bears.
Yes.
The division-winning Chicago fucking Bears.
Bear down.
With fucking Mitchell Trubisky with 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions.
You put some respect on his name.
Listen, I had Mitchell Trubisky as my quarterback in fantasy football, and guess what? I fucking lost in the championship because he didn't do shit. So, but he's a great quarterback. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't say great. He's a good quarterback for his age. I spoke too soon. But I think I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna go with Chicago in this one. I'm not gonna be the contrarian because I just don't see. I don't see the Eagles' offense generating enough against that defense to be able to win or to sustain it. I don't see it. I don't see Alshon Jeffrey having a big enough game to be able to compensate for what the Bears have on defense.
Did you hear what Alshon said? That piece of shit.
Yeah, and that's the bulletin board material shit. I never believed. I don't feel like you got to motivate a motherfucker that makes millions of dollars to be able to do their job. Like you don't have to motivate me to go to work to get paid. Especially when you have something you want to accomplish like Chicago does, because a loss right now would be a fucking failure for you all season. So I'm going to pull with the Bears. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to yeah, I think y'all are going to put up at least a minimum of 3 touchdowns against them. I believe it's going to be a blowout. I don't know as far as what the Eagles can put up. Nick Foles has been awesome. This is a quarterback I've seen throw 5 picks in a game. But it's also a quarterback I've seen throw 7 touchdowns in a game. So
he did.
Right. So it's kind of hard as far as the balance goes. But I'm pulling for the Bears. My final score I'm gonna put out there as 28-7. 28-7. So this is on camera. If I'm close or if I'm right, I need to be on fucking TV. I need to be on TV. So remember this.
Well. Me sitting here with a Hall of Fame, one of the greatest linebackers of all time, Brian Urlacher. I'm not gonna lie, there is something to Foles' magic.
Does it scare you?
Does it? No, No, but again, I think when you have to give Nick Foles credit. I mean, like you said, this man threw 7 touchdowns in one game. He won the Eagles their Super Bowl last year on their wonderful run. The biggest difference, obviously, from last year and this year, everybody I've seen talk about this game, they failed to mention they were the number 1 seed last year.
Yeah.
They did this all in Philly.
Home field advantage.
Everybody had to go through Philly.
Playing at home is easier. It's easy to play at home.
He's coming into Chicago in a loud crowd, and he's facing the number 1 defense in the league. Number 1 in takeaways, number 1 in interceptions, stops the run. I believe there is magic, but I think the magic runs out. I think the magic runs out, and I mean that defense is something to behold. Now, obviously, the X factor is always going to be Mitchell Trubisky. I've been a big fan of Mitchell Trubisky.
We've seen him have bad games, and that defense makes up for it. And that's my take on it. Like you've seen him have bad games, and they still come out on top by multiple touchdowns at times. So. Yeah, I think the Bears got it. I don't have any doubt in my mind. I'm ready for them to go against some competition in the NFC that's worth it. I think the fucking Eagles got in by the skin of their teeth. They should have been a division winner. So, yeah, that's an easy one. I think that's the easiest game to pick for me, in my opinion. But I could be wrong, and y'all can be trash, and we can be having a different conversation tomorrow.
I feel like you didn't have to have it.
No.
I didn't know if that was necessary.
The Eagles could be the Giants of a couple of, the Super Bowl years and come in as the
flukiest team ever.
9-7 Super Bowl champions. You see that back there? You see that?
What has he done since?
He's a fucking player, a Super Bowl MVP.
What has he done since?
He's a fucking 2-time Super Bowl MVP. That's neither here nor there. We're not gonna get into that now either. There's other time for that. We'll wait to see where his team goes. And if his team doesn't make it, then we'll talk about how we're all sitting at home eating popcorn and shit, watching the games. But I think we're good. So those are our predictions for the most part. I think we're pretty much on the same page, aside from maybe one game. So I think I'm going in the contrary with the Baltimore game just to kind of make it interesting, the conversation. But I don't really have much faith in it. I haven't seen many Baltimore games, and when I watch the highlights, I just see fucking Lamar Jackson running around like Michael Vick, and I've seen that. I've seen that with Robert Griffin. I've seen that with Marcus Mariota, who can't stay healthy. So I have no faith in that nigga, and I'm good on it.
Here's my problem with that game. You're talking about a game that you have the home team that is 9-7 versus a away team that's 12-4. The playoffs are fucking ridiculous to me. I mean, I think at some point, once you get into playoffs, there should be some reseeding here because there's no way that a 9-7 Baltimore team, because of a Pittsburgh collapse, gets into the playoffs. And now it gets to host.
I'm happy that Pittsburgh didn't slide they trash ass in the playoffs like that. I'm happy.
Trash?
Fuck them.
Why is so hateful?
Because I just don't like Big Ben, and that's and with the R. Kelly shit going on, I'm not gonna tie that into it here yet either. But if Big Ben can get away with it and still be playing football,
the Me Too movement now.
Fuck Big Ben. Like that is privilege at its finest, but we're not gonna go there.
He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Got a
different time to do this. He is.
Isn't that what you said about?
He's not a 2-time Super Bowl MVP though. Don't you fucking compare him again.
He has 2 Super Bowls.
Was he the reason, or was the fucking toe tap in the end zone
where did he have to put that ball?
The greatest catch ever.
Where did he have to put the ball?
It don't matter if you put the ball in the space.
He had to put it there.
Call my man. What was it? What's his name? Antonio.
I don't remember.
Not Brown.
It wasn't Brown.
No, Santonio Holmes.
Santonio Holmes, there it is.
AKA Tony Toe Tap. That's his name. Because that was the greatest fucking catch ever.
He fucking made it.
Fuck Big Ben.
Big Ben put it on the money.
Whose side are you on?
I'm just saying.
What matters most? That poor lady in that hotel room or Big Ben? I'm done with that.
I feel like we can't take the conversation there.
I'm done.
Keep it back on the field.
Fuck Big Ben. All right, so what we got next, man? What we looking at?
So again, this was supposed to be, speaking of the Bears game, wrapping it up, and talking about Mitchell Trubisky. I saw an interesting fuck-ass article from our good friends at Pro Football Focus that really all week had me feeling some type
boiling.
Of way.
I've been fucking boiling,
and
it is hilarious.
It didn't make sense to me, and I saw it on Twitter, and
28,
and I read the article. Fucking about that 28. So Pro Football Focus ranks all the quarterbacks, all starting 32 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 32 starting quarterbacks, and I'm a realist. I don't think Mitchell is the top 5 quarterback. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Reasonably.
I honestly would put him 15, 16, just based on everything that he's done. He's still young. He still makes mistakes.
And just for clarification, before we say where Mitch is, who is 15?
15, who did they have him at?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Roethlisberger. So let's talk about where Eli was, since he wants to talk.
28, baby. That mean you ain't the worst.
Big Ben.
Fuck Big Ben. Okay, back to what you're talking about.
So, I truly believe 15, 16, he's still above 20.
Reasonable.
He's an average quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But lo and behold, as I'm scrolling through and I still don't see Mitch's name, I come to find that these motherfuckers had the audacity to rank him 30th out of 32 NFL quarterbacks.
He is high.
The only quarterbacks he was above, Lamar Jackson and who?
Josh Rosen.
And Josh Rosen.
Ryan Tannehill. Which I would argue, this is just my opinion,
Eli Manning had a shitty
that has
season.
nothing to do with it.
And he was 28.
It has nothing to do with it. So this is what they had to say. Trubisky plays quarterback for a playoff team in 2018. That's a fucked up way to start to talk about somebody. He plays for a playoff team like he had nothing to do with it. But the Bears' trip to the postseason isn't a product of stellar play from their second-year signal caller. His turnover-worthy play rate, 3.46, is high when considering he ranks near the middle of the pack in big-time throw percentage, 4.4%. And he takes risk for too few rewards when pushing the ball downfield.
So you want me to explain that stat to you?
Basically, what they're saying is that he takes too many risks with little reward for the risk that he's taking.
That fucking stat was, this could have been a bad play, but it wasn't. But since it could have been, we're going to drop him as an overall rating.
Okay.
It didn't end up in a bad play, but potentially it could have.
So you feel like...
Fuck yourself.
So you basically feel like, essentially, that he's better than 15 other quarterbacks that they had in front of him, right?
I think so.
So you feel like he's better than Blake, Eli, Nick Mullins, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Case Keenum, Alex Smith, Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, Joe... He's not better than Cam Newton. Joe Flacco, he's not better than Cam Newton. You're just being fucking biased. He is not better than Cam Newton. I can't believe
So Mitchell Trubisky did something that only 2 other Chicago Bears quarterbacks have done in history. And that was throw for over 3,000 yards and throw for more than 25 touchdowns.
Right.
No other Bears quarterback has done this except my man Cuddy. Smoking Jay Cutler.
Smoking Jay Cutler.
Smoking Jay.
And
Jim McMahon.
He's not better than Cam Newton. He's not better than Derek Carr.
But here's what killed me, because I'm gonna read the fucking tweet that they had justifying this dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what they said verbatim on their Twitter. Just because Trubisky is ranked 30th in overall grade this season doesn't mean our analysts think he's the 30th best QB in the NFL. The grades are one tool in the evaluation process. The grade is a more advanced way of measuring production, but it's not the only mark. Motherfucker, when you tell me this is an overall grade, that means you are taking every mark that you have and you're putting it together to determine, hey, doesn't matter if Mitch is very athletic and he can run, or he can throw on the run, or if he can make these plays. Doesn't matter.
Right.
With all of that encompassing, he is the 30th ranked QB.
It's a tough argument.
Fuck yourself.
That's a tough argument to make. He's just so young, and if this is based on 2018, and it takes into nothing other than his production this year alone, in comparison to 32 other quarterbacks, I don't believe he's 30th. I believe he's middle of the pack. And I don't believe that you can have the record that you all have with that defense alone without a quarterback that's capable of doing some of the things he did. Didn't he have a game of like 5 touchdowns? He's
Yes.
throwing 3 touchdowns or more.
He had 6 touchdowns in the Tampa Bay game.
6 touchdowns.
0 interceptions.
Right. So that's not the 30th ranked quarterback in the league. Like when
Dak Prescott was 18 and he put up a nothing burger against Indianapolis.
There's some hate there. There's some vitriol there, and I don't think you need to shit on Dak for any reason. There's no reason to bring him into this. Okay.
0. Have the Chicago Bears scored 0 all season?
Right. That is very true. So the top 10, and we'll go in chronological order. 10 is Matt Ryan. 9 is Baker Mayfield. 8 is Jared Goff. 7 is Russell Wilson.
Baker number 9.
6 is Aaron Rodgers. 5 is Tom Brady. 4 is Phillip Rivers. 3 is Andrew Luck. I like that one. 2 is Patrick Mahomes, and 1 is Drew Brees, which those two can be interchangeable. The 1 and 2 are separated by about 1.5 percentage points in their overall grade. So it's not that.
That's
not
fine.
a big difference.
Like I said, besides Baker Mayfield, I'm cool with the top 10.
How are you not cool with Baker Mayfield?
Because I'm not cool with Baker Mayfield.
Do you feel like Baker Mayfield had a better season than Mitchell Trubisky? All right, let's move on. Pro Football Focus football quarterbacks list. That is all that we have. That is all that we have for that one. I just wanted to know what your answer would be, and that says enough.
I'm just saying, Mitchell has had a great fucking season.
Agreed.
He went from a 77 QB rating from last year to the biggest jump out of any other QB to a 95. How the fuck are you up there and you're 30th?
I don't know what these prognosticators take into account, and even with that list, there's no specific formula as to how they're picking those. They give
opinions.
They give a grade, an opinionated grade based on what exactly, I'm not sure. So I don't want to put too much stock in it. But my quarterback is better than his. So that's a W for the first day of the podcast for me.
Giants?
Doesn't matter. We're at home in New York, sipping hot cocoa and shit.
We're at home hosting a playoff game.
Good luck with that. All right, and so there was another interesting look from Pro Football Focus, which was the best player at every position. I know we didn't really discuss this much, but I thought this was pretty interesting. And I'll just go through a couple random ones so we can see where it is.
Going with this one.
Yeah. So we'll skip around, but I'm going to bounce back to my favorite one because it proves a point that I had the other day in an argument that I had in a Facebook group that I'm in for NFL that we talked. So a quarterback, best quarterback at his position is Drew Brees, naturally, which I think there's an argument can be made for Patrick Mahomes. 5,000 yards,
50 touchdowns.
Come on, 52 touchdowns. Don't get him fucked up. Best wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins.
Still sounds like
Right. George Kittle, the best tight end. I don't know who was the second. I mean, who was another good tight end?
Where the fuck was Travis Kelce?
Yeah, but it's like you want to give all that credit to them.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah, George Kittle.
If they had a good team, they had a good team.
You know why George Kittle got it? Because because Travis Kelce broke the receiving yards record, right?
That's right.
And then the next
3 hours later,
Kittle broke it. So I give it to him on a technicality. Fullback, who gives a fuck? I'm not naming him. Tackle, who gives a fuck? Guard, who gives a fuck? Center, we'll go right to defense. This is when I thought that I'm not give a fuck about the offensive line. Who cares? Who cares?
Some people care.
Tell me who the starting offensive line is for your favorite team. Comment it if you want to. I don't give a fuck about that. You seen the Giants offensive line? You think I give a fuck about your best one? I don't care about that shit. Defensive lineman. I thought this was interesting. Aaron Donald is the best defensive interior in the NFL. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if you can really argue that. I mean, again, you're talking about what was he, second in sacks, and he's a defensive tackle. That's just unheard of.
So you feel like there's a better. Okay, this is this will also get you. Okay, so as far as defensive linemen, overall grades, right? This is the top 5. Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox, Akeem Hicks, Grady Jarrett, Chris Jones, and Kenny Clark. Where the fuck is Khalil Mack?
He's not interior.
Right.
Wrong shit.
Right, very true.
That's what I was like. Akeem Hicks is there. I'm good with this. Number 3.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I didn't know Fletcher Cox was having that
so
good of a season.
He'd be considered an edge defender then, right?
You're right. Yes.
Best one in the league, Calais Campbell.
What?
Now
he's still playing?
Now untie those underwear. Now get him out of a bunch.
Wait, he still fucking played?
Right. Overall grade
91. Campbell?
91.
The fuck
so they said Campbell isn't the elite pass rusher like other high-profile edge defenders.
So why would he be up there? What the fuck does he do?
Khalil Mack, Von Miller, J.J. White.
They're after him?
Basically. They essentially have him ahead of all of them on that team that did nothing. So I just wanted to bring that up for one reason. They have the best running back in Saquon Barkley graded, and this is the conversation that I had.
Feels like they put all the shitty teams with their best player in there.
Listen, you saw that man. You saw that man this year. You saw him. I agree completely. I feel like Saquon was the best running back in the league this year, and I don't feel like that being biased. I feel like that watching the games, the best blocking running back in the league by far, pass protection was Saquon. Natural runner, it's hard for me to say that because most of his biggest plays either came from him catching out of the back. He had a couple of great runs.
You think he's better than what Todd Gurley did?
Overall, yes.
You know Todd Gurley had 17 touchdowns this season, right?
I don't give a fuck about that. We're talking about
that's how you win games.
Yeah, but that's
you
in
score.
In context. Think about it. In context,
What other context is there?
He's a better receiving. Come on, he's their
if
primary
you score
weapon.
Touchdowns, you win.
Okay, I'll give you that. But if you give me the option of who 17. I took right now, if the season started right now, you got your choice out of both of the two. Who are you taking?
Gurley.
That's respectable. But that's some
Where
bullshit.
the fuck it's not some bullshit.
You know it's some bullshit.
Todd Gurley.
That's okay. Whatever.
He got first team
Pro Football
All-Pro.
Focus again. I agree with you on. That's the only point that I wanted to make, and I wanted to make this to take a little fucking clip and to shove it down the people's throats that were arguing with me the other day. So there's a big fuck you to all of y'all. But yeah, that was it. I just thought that was pretty interesting. DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver as well. I thought that was pretty interesting, but I think that's because Julio had a down year. Adam Thielen tailed off at the end of the year. AJ Green got hurt. Odell got hurt. So it was kind of it was wide open for him. But by far, he made some pretty impressive plays last year, so I'm not mad at that at all. Yeah, I think he deserved it.
I think that's pretty good.
All right, so that's enough of pro football for me, okay? Anything else you want to add in, Mr. Eli? Mr. Eli. All right.
Fuckers.
So what do we got next on the docket?
So Monday, we have a fun championship game. It is the fucking third rematch.
Roll damn tide.
The fucking third rematch.
Roll tide.
The BCS National Championship.
And
fucking Alabama.
It is not BCS anymore, is it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about something else. I'm sorry.
Who the fuck is this guy?
I'm sorry.
Anyway, the BCS National fucking Championship.
Too much clear liquor.
Fucking rematch again. Once again, we have to sit through another Alabama and Clemson game. I don't really have much about this. Alabama is the better team. I don't really give a fuck. Like, especially here, me being a Notre Dame fan, I don't give a fuck about anything Clemson is doing because I'm not gonna lie, they destroyed my Fighting Irish.
Yeah, they seem scared. I don't know what that game was about. They didn't seem like themselves. After I saw the first quarter, they weren't playing like they had played up to that point. Yeah. So I just changed the channel. I couldn't take it.
No. So I kind of gave up pretty quickly. So after seeing that, I'm at a point where just fuck Clemson.
Right.
Again, you got Alabama's defense, and now they have something that they never had in past seasons: a great passing game.
Yeah.
Interestingly
enough, Clemson allows less points per game than Alabama does. So it's very slight. It's only like a point. It's like 13.7 to 14.8. So if that matters for anything, they both have a ton of NFL talent on both sides. They both average over 40, close to 45 points a game. So if it's based on what we know for numbers, we're looking at a pretty high scoring game. Their last couple of affairs were high scoring, so I don't foresee that changing. But I still think Alabama pulls it out. They've been too dominant this year. I don't see anything Clemson has. I think that Lawrence was a good addition for what they needed to go up against Alabama, because I don't think that the prior quarterback was going to get him very far. I mean, he tried, but it just didn't turn out right for him. So I'm going with Alabama. I'm going to go with it as a blowout. I think Alabama's going to
win blowouts today. Huh?
It has been that kind of year in college football, and I think that Alabama has enough. The way that Alabama played against Georgia, which I felt like was their greatest competition this year, because they were the only team that resembled them in defense, and the offense was the kind of offense that you would think that would beat Alabama. typically they would say that a running quarterback was more of a threat to Alabama because of the way that Nick Saban coaches, but we've seen that he doesn't give a fuck about that. If he can stop that, he's going to go after him anyway. So if you're going to have a quarterback back there, at least make him efficient and make him accurate. And a true freshman, not a redshirt freshman, a true freshman against Nick Saban is dead. You are dead. Can I get closer and say it? You are fucking dead, Trevor Lawrence. So no, I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any faith in that.
This is just like Belichick. I mean, I'm not gonna bet against Nick Saban. Right. You just can't.
It would be equivalent to Baker Mayfield playing in the Super Bowl against the Patriots and letting Bill Belichick pick him apart. Like that's
pretty much what it comes down to.
I'm gonna go Alabama. I'm gonna go 35-14.
God damn.
They're not gonna score, bro. Have you seen them? I don't have no faith in them. I don't think it's gonna be a shootout. That's what I don't believe, and I don't want it to be because I want this to show that they need to add more teams in this playoff. But the only thing about that is if you add more teams, it's just more teams to lose and to get to Alabama to get their ass kicked. So I'm that's where I'm going. I'm gonna go 35-14.
I'm gonna put a little bit more respect on Clemson. I'm gonna say 38-31.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they put up a fight just because they seem to always show up.
Mm-hmm.
But Alabama's just too overpowering. I can't pick against them. It's just it is. So it's gonna be that's our fun Monday night.
Alabama's last 5 games: Oklahoma, Georgia, Auburn, whoever CIT is, that's some bullshit, and Mississippi State. Clemson's last 5: Notre Dame, Pitt, South Carolina, Duke, and Boston College. And they kicked ass all of those. So I mean, it should be an interesting game. I think Alabama's defense is tough. I think that defensive line of Alabama is strong. I think the losses in the defensive line for Clemson for the illegal substance thing is pretty serious. So I think that's going to hurt them more against Alabama than it did against the previous team. And the way that Alabama was able to outscore Oklahoma 45-34, to be able to hold a Big 12 team to 34 points these days is fucking crazy. So I don't foresee Clemson getting 34 points against Alabama.
No.
I don't think they're
So
that's my.
Nick Saban gets another title.
All right, put him up there ahead of everybody else, and then hopefully
he's ever going to leave Alabama? He's going to go back to the NFL?
Then they need to drug test him. Anytime you have boosters that buy your house, you know what I'm saying, and put your kids through college, and you don't have to spend any of the money they making, and you can just do whatever the fuck you want. You got people that go recruit for you. Like the NFL is too much of a business. I think a lot of these college coaches that had success learned that, and it's very few that got there and stayed. You know, I give it to Pete Carroll and people like that, but you see people like the Harbaugh brother that left. I don't think he's coming back.
But even Pete Carroll is this season he made a bounce back, but you're starting to see him kind of want to.
Yeah, because even his first initial trek into the NFL wasn't successful. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a different animal for different coaches. The same with NBA and college coaches. I think it's a different animal. And for me to have that kind of job at Alabama, the top program in the country, to leave and to go coach the fucking New York Jets. Or I'm not doing it. I'm not signing up for Sam Darnold. Fuck that. No.
Maybe he goes after the Cleveland job. Get Baker Mayfield back in.
Yeah, but you don't have as much control. Like he controls the program, as opposed to you only having or being the CEO of a team, being the coach, which is not even the CEO. The CEO is more so the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think more so with coaches, you get that 3-year window to make some shit happen before that clock starts ticking, as opposed to college where you get a fucking lifetime contract at $12 to $15 million per year. Whether you win or lose doesn't matter because your recruiting class comes in every year and you're just eating up all the talent. Like I would say between them and Clemson, the past 5 to 10 defensive linemen that have come from both schools have been pretty efficient. Whether it be Jonathan Allen or whether it be whoever it is from Clemson that's came. So I don't foresee it. Like I don't foresee it. Like I think he'll be there for the foreseeable future.
I get it. I definitely get it.
All right. What we got next on the docket?
Well, we stroll over to the NBA. Always fun before the All-Star weekend. So much games.
Go Lakers. Go Lakers.
My season's done. I'm checked out.
Right,
the Bulls are again. Ever since Tibbs left, we've been on a fucking downslope. I'm done. So anything we can move on though. We don't.
No, we're gonna delve in a little bit. So we'll take a look at let's just take a look at where the Bulls sit.
Oh God.
We're looking at a 10-29 team. Granted, we're looking at a roster that's being rebuilt. It's been rebuilt since they got rid of Derrick Rose and that crew, and they've gradually gotten rid of everybody from that second successful era of Chicago Bulls basketball. They got close. They got fairly close to winning it all.
Eastern Conference champion.
But you can't go against LeBron and the Heat and live. Like, we saw that, and it didn't work, and they disbanded the whole shit, and everybody went to Minnesota. That's what you do.
It's the Minnesota Bulls.
Yes. They all went to Minnesota. And goddamn it, Derrick Rose is an all-star again. So,
fuck
Chicago Bulls.
Did you see when Minnesota came to Chicago? They were chanting MVP.
Yeah, because he's that guy. And if you disrespect Derrick Rose in Chicago, you should be shot. That's how I feel. It's just like disrespecting Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio. I didn't understand the booing of him.
Yeah,
that's just
petty.
super disrespectful.
That was really petty.
Yeah, now he did kind of force his way out of there, but it's basketball. Like, I'm glad we're at this phase of basketball where the players have control more so than the owners.
You think that's good for the league?
I think it's awesome.
Really?
Because it gives you that atmosphere that we've always wanted, to where, for one, we're not in the past where players are dedicated to play for a whole team for the rest of their lives. If you want to win, because what they've shown is that in the NBA, your individual success is directly tied to your ability to win a championship however you win it. So it's no longer, I got my team there. The last person that got their team to a championship on his back was Dirk Nowitzki.
Do you think that's diluting the league? Because, I mean, again, when you get to a point where the last 4 years we had the same fucking NBA championship, the same two fucking teams for the last 4 fucking years. Mm-hmm. That doesn't say anything to be like, what the fuck are we doing?
Step your shit up. The whole collective bargaining agreement was for them to be able to control that, and it did nothing but make players take less money. So what they said was essentially, since all y'all want to leave these small markets and go to big markets, we'll allow the small markets to be able to pay you more money to stay. And what the players said is, fuck the small markets, throw in DeMarcus Cousins. I don't want to play for the team that can give me $100 million right now. I'm gonna go play for $4 million and play on the team with the Warriors and win a championship. And then when I go up to be a free agent, you still gonna give me $140 million. You see what I mean? So for the players, I think it's fine. For the teams, it sucks, but it's still
good for the league.
I don't think it's bad.
I guess I'm looking at all these teams that can't get these big name stars because they've already developed something, and it just, I think it's just hurting every other market. Every other market.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just feel like with a team like the Warriors, I think it only hurt because it was new and it was fresh. But I do feel like there's a changing of the guard there, and I feel like others are starting to catch up. Like, I feel like this would be the year where there's another team that could come through the West to make a difference. But I just don't. It's hard to.
I hope you're not trying to say the Lakers.
Fuck no. But there's granted, depending on what moves we can make, though, because right now we're one player away, and we have one player that I'd be willing to give away. So if anybody wants Brandon Ingram, call your boy and I got you. You can have him.
You gonna make the?
You can have all 6'10" of that skinny ass nigga that does nothing. You know, I'm good. Just let us keep Kyle Kuzma. Let us keep Josh Hart. Let us keep Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball has improved. He has, bro. He is a hell of a defender. Like, I watch a lot of Lakers games. Granted, I'm not bragging. But I watch a lot of Lakers games. He's improved a lot. His shot and everything. But we're one player away. Paul George fucking spurned us. That's fine. DeMar DeRozan, you didn't want to come play for the home team. All y'all LA niggas that don't want to play for the Lakers, I don't understand it. Y'all went to school in California. Paul George told everybody he wanted to get traded to the Lakers, and then let Russell Westbrook whisper sweet nothings in his ear. So fuck him too. But other than that, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. But I think right now it's the Warriors against the field, just like it's always been. As far as the MVP races come down between James Harden and LeBron James, I think if James Harden continues what he's doing right now, he'll probably win another one because he's more impressive this year than he was last year because Chris Paul is trash. So get him the fuck out of there too.
Well, he's now playing defense. Like, I've started to watch some of his games, and after what I saw in
James Harden, I must have missed something. I must be watching a different. Well, yeah, granted, if we this last 5 to 7 game stretch, he's been utterly amazing.
I mean, after you see that Golden State game, and I mean 51,
and essentially the game.
Chris Paul is gone. He is hurt right now.
Along with Trevor Ariza, along with some of the other pieces that got them where they was last year, their starting point guard right now is Austin Rivers. Okay, so I feel like if he continues what he's doing, And I don't even think it has to be at the same pace because right now he's doing shit that only 2 other people have done. 40-plus points, fucking 6 or 7 games in a row. He scored the most points in a month since Kobe Bryant. So I don't foresee him doing that for the full season. But if LeBron gets the Lakers in the playoffs as upwards of a 4 seed and continues what he's doing, like. And it's evident because he's been out for 4 games and we are trash again.
So you're gonna have me sit through another 5th year of LeBron versus fucking Golden State?
At least now you get it before the championship. It's guaranteed to be a different team in the finals. I'm saying he did us a fucking favor. He did you a favor. You just cried about the finals being the same. So now they can't be the same. Now it has to be somebody in the East for the fucking Warriors to sweep. Like nobody's gonna have another. LeBron was the only choice.
Think Boston can do it.
Oh my god.
I think Boston. I mean, look, Gordon Hayward. I think Kyrie Irving. Those boys can get it done.
Right now, essentially, my choice out of the East would be Toronto. I would choose Toronto in the East because of the fact that they have a strong bench and they have a player that can guard LeBron and can guard anybody else head up. He can guard Kevin Durant. We saw what was happening with him before he got hurt in San Antonio. Guarding Kevin Durant, he was doing a hell of a job. Granted, nobody can guard Kevin Durant, but you know, if anybody in the East, I'm gonna go Toronto. I'm gonna go Boston. I'm gonna go Milwaukee maybe, but Milwaukee's only number 1 right now because it's the first part of the season. So
yeah, I don't think that lasts very long.
Yeah, but they got a hell of a fucking player there. If you got Giannis, you know, I think you're doing very well.
Beast. I won't take anything.
And it's
from
hard.
him.
It's hard to judge the NBA. I think any league that has more than 50 games. It's tough to gauge so early, and we still got right now the Denver Nuggets lead the West. Right now, Denver Nuggets are number 1 in the West, 26-11. So OKC is 25-13. They'll probably still finish with upwards of 55 to 60 wins this year. I don't want to make a prediction right now in the season. I want to kind of give it some time. We'll revisit it after the first half of the season. Right now it's going Right now it's going as expected. Nobody thought that dumb shit that Tristan Thompson was saying was accurate, that the Cavs were going to stay the same without LeBron. So we knew they weren't going back. So Tristan Thompson can stay on the Kardashians. Yes, he can stay on the Kardashians with that bullshit.
Fucking bum.
I would like to see a different team from the West contend. But I just feel like if it's anybody that's going to compete with them in the West, it's going to be Houston. Like, there's nobody else. I mean, LeBron with another player there, but I don't think that the Lakers can compete.
Houston, I feel like, is going to end up the same way it did last year. They were the competition against Golden State, but nobody can stay fucking healthy. Yeah. There was at one point in that 7-game fucking series, they had a 7-man rotation.
Yes.
That means you have your starters
and two other
motherfuckers to come in.
Y'all niggas rested yet?
Let's go. 2.
Yeah.
7-man rotation against Golden State.
But that's always how Mike D'Antoni has been, though. He's always been that kind of coach.
And see, I like Mike D'Antoni. I do. One of my favorite scenes, besides the Bulls, was that stretch, that 04 to 07 Suns.
Yes,
man, Sean Marion, Steve Nash, Joe Johnson, Amari Stoudemire. That was the fucking team to watch. They were so fun to watch.
Tequila is nasty. So if y'all are watching me drink this and it looks like I'm suffering, that shit is nasty. Like, you can dress that shit up with a bowl. You can put that shit in a Givenchy dress all you want. It is a nasty bitch. And she will never come home with me. No. I like them brown.
It is delicious.
Brown and down. That is me.
No, that's what puts motherfuckers to sleep. You gotta wake up.
No.
Let's go.
Yeah, but it's doing the trick, though. I feel it in my soul. All right, so that's enough NBA talking to. We get some news that's juicy enough. Let me see if there's anything on the NBA docket that's worth talking about. And
if not, we're just going to JB's thoughts.
Dirk scoreless, nope. Cantor. Oh, that was interesting. So Enes Kanter has a fear of traveling to London for a basketball game because of the Turkish government. He's afraid that they're going to imprison him if he does. For those of them who are not
imprison him, assassinate.
Yeah, he thinks they're going to kill him if he's off, which is a very fair thing. It's a very fair thing. So he's in opposition. I won't get too deep into names and shit because they're Turkish names in the Turkish government. But he's in opposition to the leader in Turkey. He's in favor of another guy who was there prior to, I believe. And he's an advocate of that guy. They don't like it. They've kind of pressed him for a while. and he got his ass the fuck out of there. The last time he left out of the country, they almost held him up in customs and took him back to Turkey and had him executed. So that young man might want to stay. He might want to stay his happy ass in New York, okay? And that is it. Yeah. So I thought that was fairly interesting though, because he, without a doubt, I mean, I know that he said that they were like prosecuting his father and giving his family a hard time, and I think that's trash. But it kind of shows you the difference in what the privilege that we have here in America, and the way that we're given that opportunity to be opinionated about our government and have, you know, opposing thoughts to others without it affecting our livelihood and our lives and our families. So I think that's pretty interesting. It's something I'm gonna keep track of.
Can we really be opinionated at this point? I feel like our president takes too.
Well, if we do, he's not gonna come find us. And like they couldn't. If LeBron comes out and says that Trump is trash, all he can do is be like, fuck LeBron, I'm still the president. He's not gonna go lock him up and like kill his family. Right. So it's a difference. Like, so that, you know, I think a lot of people don't recognize what we have here. Now, I'm not gonna get too deep into what we don't have here, especially being an African American male in America. So we're gonna leave it there. Like, as you all can see, my opinions on sports are deeply rooted into the issues that we have as a country. So we're just gonna keep it strictly sports, because this is the first episode, and I don't want to lose anybody. But I'm gonna lose a few of y'all pretty soon. If there's anybody that ever joins and you leave, I'll take the blame for it, because I don't give a fuck about certain shit. And I have a certain way I feel about the NFL. But once the season is over, we'll talk about that too. But right now, we love football. Yay, football. Run, jump, catch, pass. Do that, nigga, and don't talk. And don't hit your woman either. So we'll move on again, because there's a lot about different things that I wanted to talk about. But we'll save some time. What are we at? 48? 49? We got about another strong 10.
So we can jump into JB's thoughts as long as they stay.
So the past couple days, I have been talking about this fucking R. Kelly shit, right? And I'm not gonna get too deeply into it, but I do want people to kind of like pay attention to it, because it brought out a stronger emotion in me, because for one, this is an artist that I'm an artist myself, and this is somebody that I've studied since I was a child. I remember stealing my mother's R tapes. If any of you remember the album The R, the red cover with the black silhouette of him. One of the greatest pieces of work ever. This is prior to even, you know, me knowing who he was in his previous life, singing with his early work, right? So, just seeing it all, and, you know, it's hard to say who's wrong or right about certain things, but it brought out a different issue that I wanted to speak on as a father of, you know, 3 daughters and a mother, and I got multiple sisters and, you know, a woman at home that are all African American. I think the biggest issue that I had with it, not people having a contrary perspective of what he did and how to judge him, but just more so that it shows how we discredit our black women and how we're not willing to listen to them. And we would rather think that there's a come up for our women, as opposed to knowing that this man is an actual predator. Because the main thing that I've been seeing people say is either, why did people allow it to continue to happen? Oh, these fast-ass little girls, keep them away. They knew what they were doing. How do you brainwash somebody? But I think the bigger issue there is that people, or why is it just now coming out? Mm-hmm. I think that it's been spoken on, and if you've seen it, he has numerous non-disclosure agreements with people. So he's settled out of court numerous times and not allowed anybody to say anything. So it has been spoken to. And if you dig up enough information, which I did, unfortunately, a while back before this documentary was made, and shout out to Dream Hampton. She's somebody that, you know, she does a lot of work around here as far as reporting certain shit and in the entertainment world and speaking on things that go on in Dallas. So shout out to her, because she did a great job there. And she's an African-American woman. And I think seeing things from their perspective helps us get a grasp of the effect of this person, and seeing the hurt that it was, and these people that were crying out for help, and how we ignored them for the fact of we enjoyed somebody's performance, or he sung well to us, or we agreed with his song. I think that shows that there needs to be a change in how we accept information that comes from black women in general, and we should be more privy to hear what they have to say, because I think a lot of the shit that was going on was very manipulative. It was all coerced, and he played to certain weaknesses of people. And unfortunately, the weaknesses of these young ladies were their age and their naivety, because of the common theme of me watching this whole thing is each one just says we were young and we were naive. And if anybody's ever been young Me included. I did a bunch of dumb shit as a kid, right? So at 14 and 15, I was doing a bunch of dumb shit, and there was a lot of shit I did that my parents didn't know about. So I think that we should all just kind of take a seat and not watch this, but just kind of watch the individuals around you, and watch the people that you have around your family, watch the people you call friends, watch the people you work with, because these people aren't just celebrities. Like, we all grew up around predators. Like, we've all been around individuals that do shit and we see it and we may turn a blind eye to it because it doesn't affect us. Like, I've seen this shit happen in my community numerous times and nothing happens. I've seen people pick girls up from school in high school. I've seen guys that we grew up with that were 4 years older than us sit at our middle school and wait till we get out of school to fraternize with the kids there. So this isn't the first instance of this, and it doesn't shock me. We knew with the Aaliyah thing that there had to be some shaky going on, but again, in entertainment, that's a different world where different things happen with no explanation, and there's other shit that's going to come out about other people that we'll see. Just kind of keep in mind that, the underlying issue here is that there were women affected by this, and people bring up Harvey Weinstein and they bring up Michael Jackson, and these people's prey wasn't black women, and they weren't young black women. And so that's the part about it that affected me the most, because he preyed on the fact that I'm going to attack those who no one cares about. And I think it was proven, and I think it's still proven. Like, I don't think that it wasn't deliberate. I feel like he knew what he was doing and who he was doing it to. Because some of the actions that, even now that they speak about that going on with him trapping women, I don't think you can do that with a strong woman who you didn't manipulate prior to. So he preyed on the youth, and he preyed on that demographic, because these are the ones that we ignore, and I think that we need to be kind of mindful of that. So I don't really care about the other shit that's in there. I think everything else is well documented. We know what he did and all of that. So I think that part of this whole thing is what bothers me the most, and is why I'm so locked into it. And like I told y'all earlier, don't get it fucked up. I rode around in my car and listened to I Wish like 4 or 5 times, because that shit had an effect on me. I marched at my 5th grade graduation to I Believe I Can Fly. Like, you know what I mean? I used to listen to this man's music and write down the songs to learn when a hook comes in, because I didn't know how to format music. So I learned a lot from him, and it's very disappointing, but again, everybody has their own demons. And I think apart from that song that he says that I noticed today that kind of threw me off is, like, at the end of the 3rd verse, he's like, instead of y'all throwing them stones at me, somebody pray for me. And he's been asking for help, it seems like forever. And we're just like, no, R. Kelly, we believe you can fly too, my nigga, we got you. You know what I mean? And it's sad that it's come to this and that so many people had to be affected, but that's all I have for it. 5 minutes, I didn't go over. That was it. That was it. So
JB's thoughts.
I think that was effective. I think we got through that without pausing any. I thought we were gonna have to pause a lot of this shit. This is my first time talking for long periods of time. If you ever click on YouTube and see me on there, more than likely I am probably spitting bars. So don't be surprised if you see me on something else and I'm rapping. Just, it's a different person. It's not me.
It's a whole different thing.
It's my doppelganger.
This is the channel.
It's my younger brother.
Subscribe.
Yeah, but if you can, if this video was anything, interesting to you, please subscribe. And going forward, a lot of the episodes will be live. So if you don't get a chance to, see it, you'll be able to go back and review it. But we will have live episodes. We'll try to stream them from Facebook, from Instagram if we can, live, whatever we can. It's just us and our project manager that's ducked off in the corner.
How many titles are we going to give us?
I think project director, creative control. Listen, I'm with all of them.
I like the runner.
She's not going to go for that.
She's not going to go for that?
We're not,
sure?
We're not going to talk about Ben Roethlisberger.
We're not going to talk about
We're not going to talk about Ben Roethlisberger and R. Kelly and then call her a runner. I'm not going there. So,
I'm just saying.
Again, the GiantBear Podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I didn't even get drunk.
Future episodes.
I'm drinking like
He's
a baby.
He's going to be fucking lit.
I'm drinking like a baby.
See,
this shit is strong.
It's tequila, ladies and gentlemen. It's tequila.
Brown and down. But thank y'all. GiantBear Podcast.
Cheers. It's been fun.